What's up, guys? In this video, we're going to be breaking down the Tinder Swindler. Specifically, we're going to be taking a look at his Tinder profile along with his text game and his overall game. We're going to be analyzing his game, what exactly he does to swindle those ladies. Alright, so you guys have been asking for this video for a while, so here it is. So, if you're not familiar with what the fuck I'm talking about, there's a popular trending documentary on Netflix called The Tinder Swindler. It's about this guy named Simon who basically swindled a whole bunch of girls in Europe across various cities. And he scammed one chick for like $200,000, one chick for $100,000. So, I think all in all, he stole over $10 million worth of money from chicks. And that's obviously really fucked up, also illegal. So, of course, you should not do that. Very wrong, right? But let's just analyze his game and see what exactly he was doing. So in the documentary, they show his Tinder profile. And actually, his Tinder profile is extremely solid from a game perspective. So this is his first photo. You can see it's on a yacht, so obviously DHV here, and it's him sitting there. Looks pretty natural. He looks good in it. It's also casual. So he has a photo where he looks good, it's natural, but it also DHVs him, which is a really good trifecta of, you know, getting right swipes. Next photo is him on a private jet. Third photo is him clearly in a private plane. He's dressed well. Notice how in all these photos, right, it looks like he's not trying hard. He looks like he doesn't care, right? So that's obviously good. Fourth photo is him kissing a dog. So this guy's clearly fairly smart. I think that if he wasn't, you know, a massive scammer, he could have probably been a really good PUA. I wonder if he's like familiar with like the seduction community, because like this is really fucking good. Fifth photo is him just sitting on a like what looks like to be a private yacht. And you can see this guy also dresses really well. Like he looks just like he's got his shit together, right? And the last photo is him wearing a nice outfit, looking like he's doing some like kind of like, I don't know, some like fancy shit or whatever the fuck he's doing, right? So this is a very solid profile. And then he, of course, he links his Instagram, and his Instagram is just full of like DHV type of photos. It's him sitting in a limo, him sitting, you know, a fancy restaurant, him in a yacht. Like that's literally all his photo is, just DHV after DHV. It's like basically what Fresh Prince CEO does, but he does it a lot better, right? So you can see it's just like one DHV after another. And this is quite interesting. So that's his profile. So that's what he does to get matches. Now, usually when he gets matches with a girl, his texting structure is pretty interesting. So he hits her with, "Hi, I'm leaving," and then insert the city that he's in tomorrow, "Want to meet for coffee." Right, that's a very interesting approach. So he creates a false time constraint, but then the ask is pretty small. He's not saying "want to come over," right? Because then the girl's like, "Well, you're leaving tomorrow. It's going to be a one-night stand." It's like, I showed all this value right up front. You can see it in my pictures in my Instagram, right? There's a false time constraint because I'm leaving tomorrow, and the ask is very small. Let's just meet for coffee. So apparently what he would do is when he would meet these girls for coffee is he would have his bodyguard there, which is probably just some dude who was getting like part of his Tinder swindlings. So he had his bodyguard in the background to create the image of that of him as some fancy guy. He would meet them at a private hotel, right? And he would not make a move at all on the first date. So he would just literally talk to them for an hour on coffee, and he would subtly DHV himself like he has so much money. He's the heir to a diamond empire, and he would create this sense of like intrigue. And on paper, he would just seem like the perfect guy, right? Like he has all the checks and balances in place. Hey, if you guys are enjoying the content on this channel, then make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, and click that bell for notification. So a lot of girls would think like, wow, this guy's just too good, he's never gonna hit me up. But then what he would do, because there's always a false time constraint, is he would actually, you know, text them a lot and be like, "Hey, you know, I really enjoyed our time together, blah, blah." Now the second date, this was interesting, would always be on a private jet. So he would say, "Hey, I'm actually coming back to your city, and I'm planning on flying to blah, blah, blah." And since this is in Europe, right, all the cities are close together. So he'd be like, you know, flying from London to Paris, right? "Do you want to come with me?" And because they already had the first date, there was the comfort, right? And because they saw that this guy had a bodyguard, they felt a lot safer with him, right? Because like he has a lot to lose, so he's not going to try anything. It's the same reason some chicks feel safer with a celebrity, right? Because that person has more to lose. So they would trust him. So they go on this, you know, private trip. Then they would get to the city. They would get dinner, and then they would usually hook up in the hotel, right? And then he was always followed the same structure. Over text, then afterwards, he would do a lot of love bombing. So he would be like, "Oh, you know, I'm really starting to fall for you, you're perfect." So literally, he would just hit on all the girls' emotions. So the girls would be like, "Wow, this guy's fucking perfect. He's super successful. He's super put together. He's not like a typical fuckboy. He really cares about me. This is like my Mr. James Bond," right? That's the image he would create for the chicks. And then about a month in, he would create a emergency. So he had this video that he would send to chicks that would say, oh my God, my bodyguard, and he would build up to this better, right? But basically he would send a fake video, I guess, of his bodyguard getting shot or getting stabbed or something like that, right? To create the idea that he's in danger, right? And then he'd be like, oh my God, can I just borrow your credit card for 2 weeks because my enemies are trying to track me down? Now, I think the transition was a lot smoother than that. And because the chicks were in love and they thought he was the perfect guy because he had so much money on paper, it seemed like they would just be like, yeah, sure. So they would give him their credit card, write him a check for the money. And what he was doing, and this is fucking crazy, is every chick he was talking to, he was funding like the hotel and the plane with the money of the previous girl. So he was just going from one girl to another and funding it with the girl previous to that. And it was just this cycle of scamming, right? And the crazy thing is that this guy largely got away with a lot of it because it's a weird like legal loophole because he's technically just borrowing money from a friend, right? So it was like this weird loophole. They got him on some passport violations and stuff like that, but the police really couldn't pin him. And he was just like basically just traveling around scamming the shit out of all these girls. Now, this guy's clearly a sociopath, right? Because that's like super fucked up. I'm not really sure what his MO is because it just seems like a shitty life to live, right? But I'm just wondering like if this guy, if his goal instead of was like scamming girls, was getting laid or sleeping with the hottest girls, like what this guy could have been able to accomplish, which would be crazy, right? But again, so this, I just think this is interesting that like, this is what we call the dark triad of game, where you're basically using game to achieve nefarious ends, which is something that, you know, exists, but not something that I would ever recommend because obviously it's fucked up. But, you know, game can be used for evil. And I think this is a very good example of a guy doing just that. All right, hopefully you guys found this video valuable and show us that you're not a swindler by smashing the like button, hitting subscribe, and clicking the bell for notification. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time.